All right, ahoy there. It's Kylan Hurt here, aka Captain Crypto, and today we are going to be going over how to get set up for mining Grin. This is specifically on Ubuntu, so if you're following along, I have a fresh install here of Ubuntu 18.04. It's essentially a fresh installation. The only thing that I've really done after the installation is I also installed the automatic updates. So we're starting pretty fresh here. And one thing that I should emphasize here is that this tutorial is for people who are planning on mining with Nvidia graphics cards, specifically because that's what I'm using. So I can't really comment on any other sorts of graphics cards. And at least in this tutorial, I'm going to be starting off with my graphics cards unplugged, and the graphics card drivers have not yet been installed. So just for the record, in my experience, if you are going to be installing the Nvidia graphics cards along with this tutorial, I would start off your computer with those cards not plugged in, because when I've installed the drivers and had the cards already plugged in, it has caused me some issues. Just so you know, there are some points where it might be a little slow, like if we're doing installations or downloading a big file. And during those time periods, I'll probably skip forward just to make the video a little bit more concise. Okay, so first things first. Oh, I guess I should mention too, just full disclosure here, I am a co-administrator of the mwgrinpool.com mining pool, which is an instance of the open source software Grin pool, which is, you can check out the source code on GitHub. So let's see here. So let's start off. We open Firefox, and just to get a nice written guide that my partner has written up for mining Grin, we're going to do mwgrinpool.com. All right, press enter. You'll see kind of our dashboard here. And if you go off to the left to the instructions area, then you click on the link, How to Mine Grin. It says, to learn more about mining Grin GPUs, please read our tutorial here. It will open up an article, a Medium article written by Blade Doyle, who is my partner. And let's see here. So he has a pretty good step-by-step procedure here, tutorial. But obviously, we decided that video often works better for some people, so that's why I'm putting this together. But we'll kind of use this as a guide. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so there's going to be some things, some prerequisites that we are going to need to install. The first one that comes to mind. So if you click on that icon on the bottom left, let you search for applications. We want to find the terminal. All right. Once we find the terminal, okay, I'm adding it as a favorite to the left. It's this kind of matrix-looking thing that can be very intimidating to some people. Sudo apt get update. All right, so we're gonna just try to make sure that everything is updated. I notice I'm putting in sudo beforehand, so that it's kind of like the super user. All right, so I'm pretty much up to date. So. Okay, so next thing we need to do is we need to add a package called git. So we do sudo apt-get install git. Ask me, okay, do I want to do this? Yes, I do. All right, cool. So now we are going to create a new folder. So mkdir, making a directory. We'll call it Grin. Okay, then we do cd Grin. So we're going into that folder. There's nothing in it. Then we do git clone https :// I don't know if that's / or // github.com/wimble/grin-miner. All right, so essentially it's kind of downloading some of the source code there. Okay, so now we're actually going to want to go back to this tutorial because there are some commands that we need to do to make sure everything is installed that we need. See here, there's this sudo sudo code, and it's sudo apt-get install and then a bunch of different things. Those are a bunch of the prerequisites for being able to compile and build the mining software. Okay, so we copied this big command, and now we are going to paste it, press enter, let it do its thing. Yeah, so we'll continue to let it do its thing. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to be installing Rust, which is the core language that Grin is built in, and obviously something like the mining software is also built with that language. So in order to be able to compile some of the software, we need to make sure that we have Rust on our Linux machine. So it's doing a curl command. Curl is just something where you essentially download from a specific part of the internet. We press 1, proceed with installation with the default stuff. That's fine. And then there's also this command, source home cargo.env. Okay, cool. Paste this next command in, and we are good there. Now, before we start building the actual Grin Miner stuff, actually, yeah, let's start off with building, well, let me think here. Okay, so one thing we're going to do here is if you go further down in the tutorial, you'll see that there's a link to Nvidia Cuda downloads. So we're going to open that in a new tab. We want to pick Linux. We want to pick x64_64, then Ubuntu, then 18.04, which is the one that I'm on, and I'm assuming that you're on it. No guarantees if you're on a different one, and then deb local. So here's the part that's going to go a little slow. We're going to download 1.6 gigabyte. We're going to save it actually. Yeah, we're going to download it and we're saving this, so we're not opening it with the software installer application in Linux. So that's fine. Let me see how long. Oh, this one's actually going pretty quickly. Cool. Let me think here. So we're going to have that installed. That's fine. Okay, so in the meantime, let's go back to the terminal, and we see we have the Grin Miner folder. So we go there. Oh, cd grin-miner. Cool. And so let me open up. So we'll go to the files, and we will navigate to where we are in our terminal. So for me, I'm in Home, and then Grin Miner. So there's primarily two different areas we're going to be looking at here. Cargo.toml, and then also grinminer.toml. So for cargo.toml, open that. Okay. So the main thing here, if you're doing GPU mining, which most people are going to, you'll see toward the bottom there is something that says cuckoo miner equals path cuckoo miner version, and then whatever. And there's no hashtag, there's no pound symbol to the left. So that's kind of like the default one. We're actually going to put a hash symbol to the left of that because we're going to be replacing it. And essentially what you're doing here is you're commenting it out so that when we actually compile the software that it will ignore that line. And then 2 lines down, there's one that says cuckoo miner, and then off to the right it says features equals build Cuda plugins. So CUDA is this is associated with the Nvidia GPU cards that we are going to be using to mine. So we delete the hashtag off to the left of that line, then we save it, so we can exit out of there. Now let's see here. Guess we'll go back, see how far along our download is. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we're good. Okay, so we go back to Firefox, and we see that our download is complete. You'll notice that NVIDIA has a bunch of commands that you can use here. So we are going to be using those commands. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you. All right. So we're going to be using the terminal with those commands. So I'm going to open up a new tab in the terminal because we're going to be going to a different location here. Just do cd tilde slash downloads, which is the default location for Firefox to download, to save the downloads. All right, and then we go to the browser. We have, it's really nice because NVIDIA makes these, it gives you the commands, so you don't have to try to figure that stuff out on your own. So you just take the first line and you're going to copy and paste it, but not the little quote slash backtick symbols. So everything in between. You do the first one, paste it, go. All right, it's asking for my password. That's fine, go ahead. So this part might take a while, so I don't know if I'll fast forward it or what. I think it depends on how long it takes. Oh, that wasn't too bad. All right. And the cool thing too is the terminal will tell you the next line. So instead of using line 2 from our browser, we're going to use the last line from our terminal. All right. Paste. Says OK, so we're good there. That says do sudo apt-get update, so we'll do that. I don't know if anything will actually update. Oh, looks like we do have some updates. Now, it is very important. It's important that you don't have your GPUs plugged in before this, because I've had times where I've done this with the GPUs already plugged in before the Cuda plugins are installed, and it caused issues with my GPUs. So you don't want to run into those issues. All right. So this last one, sudo apt-get install Cuda. Cool. Big Y for yes. Let it install its stuff. So most likely, I'm probably going to show you how to do CPU mining beforehand, just to make sure that the Grin Miner is working. Then we're going to have to do a restart, during which you can plug in your GPUs into your motherboard and restart things. And then at that point, we'll be able to adjust the Grin Miner TOML file in order to allow GPU mining on your system. In general, it sounds like CPU mining is probably not going to be too competitive. I don't think there's any surprise there. All right. So I'm going to go back to our files here. So remember, we already opened cargo.toml, and instead I'm going to open grin-miner.toml. Open it with text editor. I think gedit is the default text editor. Okay, so now we are inside of our grin-miner.toml configuration file, and we are going to be changing some of the configuration values here, some of the default values, so that we can get our miner up and running. So first things first, we're going to go down to where it says Stratum server address. It has the default value of 127.0.0.1, then 134.1.6. So that specifically is if you're running your own local Stratum server, like on your actual computer, which you are welcome to do. Most likely this would be for people who are solo mining. And with as competitive as I expect Grin to be with regards to mining, my gut instincts are telling me that solo mining will probably really only be viable for people who have a lot of hashing power. So if you do have a lot of hashing power, go ahead and feel free to run your own local Stratum server. But if you're not, like most people, then what I would recommend, and obviously as I mentioned before, I am an administrator for MW Grin Pool, I would recommend joining a pool, and what we can do here is we can put in the Stratum server for our MW Grin Pool. So that's stratum.mwgrinpool.com:3334. And I'll explain that 3334 in a moment here. So let's see here. So the next value that we are going to want to edit is about 3 lines down, Stratum server login. There's a # or a hash symbol off to the left. So that is commenting out this line, which means the line is disabled, but we don't want it disabled. We are going to enable it, which means we want to delete the hashtag. So it says Stratum server login. It says 192.168. A bunch of numbers. So here you want to pick a unique username. Feel free to pick whatever you'd like. I'm going to go with fake captain, which is not going to be my real login, but I am going to use it here. And later, when you log into mwgrinpool.com, it'll tell you, if you try to create an account with a username that's already taken, it will tell you. So just realize that if you do pick a username that's already taken, you can always come back here and change these values. The next line is us picking a password. We're going to want to pick a strong password here. So about 3 lines down, Stratum server password. Again, we are going to delete the hashtag, the pound symbol, off to the left. So we are enabling this line. It says X. And you want to pick a good password here. And keep in mind that we are going to be using TLS, which actually encrypts the data that is sent between you and our Stratum server. So keep that in mind. So I would recommend picking a good password. Obviously, the stronger the better, as long as you can remember it. Remembering passwords is kind of the name of the game within cryptocurrency. I'm going to pick a crappy password because this is for a tutorial, and this is going to be a user that I am not really going to use for any actual mining. So we have username, password, address, and then Stratum server TLS enabled is false right now. Since we want you guys to have as much security as possible, and we want you to be able to keep your privacy, we are actually going to set that to true. All right. Now off to the left, that CUDA stuff is still going, so that's fine. It's still installing the GPU graphics stuff. So just out of curiosity, we will try running the Grin Miner at this point with the default is our CPU being used, which still should work, just won't go very fast. So if we go back to the other terminal tab, where we are in we're in home/grin/Grin Miner. Do an ls, shows us what exists there. So we have to build the Grin Miner software, and then from there we can run it. So let's try cargo space build, and by default that'll be a debug version, which is useful if you want to see what's going wrong or right with your builds and with your actual program. So we'll just do cargo build, all right? See if that works. Now, if our TOML file has anything incorrect in it, it'll usually show us. In fact, I think I forgot to run a specific, command. If we go back to the Grin Mining Pool tutorial, let's see here. We forgot this line here. It's under 2, get the miner source code and build it. Get submodule update -- init. So for Grin Miner, there are some submodules that need to be, I think, either downloaded or installed. Yeah, so it can't find the plugin. Or let me think here. Cuckoo, directory is empty. Yeah, see. Okay, so paste that command in. Let it do its thing. It's pretty quick. It looks like it worked correctly. And then we do cargo build again. This time around, it should work. Now if we go to the other tab in the terminal, looks like the CUDA plugins are installed, so that's good. So that means that we will be able to plug in our GPUs after we power down the machine, and then when we power back up, we'll have to change some small things in the TOML file in order to tell it that we want to mine with our GPUs. But that's in a moment after we test things out real quick with our CPU mining. Okay, so it has finished building. So now in order to run the Grin Miner, it's going to be in the debug folder because that's the target/debug folder because that's the default for a build. You can also do release build, which I will show later in this video. So we do ./target/debug/grin-miner. Go ahead and do that, and it'll have this little interface show up. Now the good thing is at the top we see connected to Grin server at MW Grin pool. So it looks like it's connecting just fine to our Stratum server. Now it's just, oh, you know what? I forgot one thing for CPU mining actually. Go ahead and press Q and quit out of there. And then we are going to go back to our cargo.toml file, excuse me, our grinminer.toml file. And let's see here, plugin name. Oh no, we want Grin Miner. Oh, we are in Grin Miner. Okay, we have to change the algorithm here. So what we actually want to do is, okay, see these areas? It's Kukuru CPU compatible 29. We're actually not going to be using that one. So there's 4 lines here. Put a hash in front of those 4 to comment them out. And then the next clause of 4 blocks here, we want to uncomment those out. And then press save. Control S, or it might be different on your system. And we are going to do cargo build again. Okay, cool. And then we're going to do the ./target/debug/Grin Miner. Starting, again, it's connecting to our Stratum server just fine. CPU AVX. All right, there we go. We are actually getting graphs per second and graph times. So we are officially mining just fine. And if I look here, it looks like I already have 1 share accepted. Okay, so what I'm going to do now at this point is I am going to restart my computer. Obviously, if I'm doing a screen capture, you can't see me restart my computer. And then at that point, we're going to continue and we are going to change the Grin Miner to start using GPU mining instead of CPU mining. So for those of you who don't yet have your graphics cards plugged into your motherboard, when you turn off your computer here, that's when you're going to want to plug your graphics cards into the motherboard, obviously while it's powered down, and then power it up once it's connected. Okay, so now that you've restarted your computer with the GPU plugged into the motherboard, and we've also already tried CPU mining, that means that we can set up our configuration for GPU mining. So first things first, we are going to open up a web browser and go back to mwgrinpool.com. That's mimblewimblegrinpool.com. Instructions tab, link on the sidebar. And then there's a link for how to mine Grin. Leads us to the Medium article. All right, we're going to scroll down a little bit there to the part where it starts talking about Nvidia Cuda Toolkit. Also, we are going to open up a terminal. We're going to go cd grin/Grin Miner. Should be the location of your Grin Miner repository and code in general. Okay, so if we look on the right-hand side, there's an NVIDIA-SMI command. We're going to copy and paste that into the terminal. All right, and that shows us, we should be able to see our GPU right here. So mine is GTX 1080 Ti, so we are good there. It's good that it's showing. Okay, let's see here. So the next thing we want to do is we want to open up, let me show you 2 files that are in Grin Miner. Let's see here, cargo.toml. I think we can leave that as is. But the one that we do want to make sure we get into is grin-miner.toml. So my regular text editor is not working, so I've opened it in Visual Studio. So I hope you don't mind that. Okay, so if we go down, and these lines might be different now. If we go down, we'll see, okay, Kukuru on line 75, and the lines might change over time. Kukuru CPU solvers. Okay, remember we had removed the hashes from an area. There's a block of 4 lines, and we're not going to be using CPU mining anymore, so we're going to put the hash marks back in to comment that section out. That means that we will not be doing CPU mining, right, because we're going to be doing GPU mining. And if we scroll down, there should be an example for, here we go, line 121. mining miner plugin config, plugin name, Kookaroo Cuda 29. I think that probably should stay the same for a while. We are going to remove the hash marks there, so we are going to be uncommenting those out. Let's see here. And CPU load. Okay, so that's fine. We're only doing one, and device should be 0 for me. If I go back to my terminal and I look where my 1080 Ti is, it has a 0 next to it, so I believe that it is device number 0. It probably depends on which PCI slot you put it into on your motherboard. Now, one more thing here. I'm going to add CPU load equals 0. Click save. So I think we should be good there. The one thing that I will mention here too, before we get going, is up where you picked your Stratum server login and Stratum server password. Mine's fake captain, fake password. If you go to mwgrinpool.com, up in the top right, click on login. So I already created my account here. You're going to want to use your username and password to create an account. That should work as long as your username is unique. So I'm going to enter in my credentials, and I'm just going to be logging in. So I go sign in. Okay, so now that's fine. So we already have the configuration file, the Grin Miner.toml file ready to go, I believe. So let's go ahead and try this. We're going to do cargo space build. Let's do so 2 ampersands, then ./target/debug/grin-miner. So we'll go ahead and let it try to start things up. Okay, so at least it looks like it parsed it correctly. It is connecting correctly, and here we go. GPS right there, 3.59, then 3.37, then 3.8. You get it. It fluctuates over time. So that's good. We are officially mining, and we are connected to our Stratum server. So you will notice at first, let me reduce the sidebar. On our website, if you're looking at your miner stats, which is what you want to look at if you want to see how you're doing. So when you first start mining, this graph area is not going to show much for a few minutes. So it needs to register a block of your work. So sometimes, usually that's about 1 minute. So, you know, a minute or two after you start. And this is also assuming you have, see it says accepted 1. You need accepted shares. If for some reason your shares are not getting accepted, then your data might not get logged to the pool. So keep an eye on that as well. So we'll give this a few minutes here. One more thing, though, is when we go back to the configuration file, if we scroll back down to where we uncommented the GPU stuff, if you have multiple GPUs and you know which device number they are, you can just copy and paste this. So you can do the same thing for the next one and have a device equal 1 because it's device number 1. It starts at 0, so device number 0, device number 1, and so on, as long as you know which device it is. And remember, back in the, let's see here, back in the terminal to figure that out, go to New tab, go to Nvidia-SMI. So you would have multiple GPUs show up here. Okay, so I'm going to take a short pause real quick, and then once this starts logging our graphs per second and other data to on mwgrinpool.com, then we'll meet back up. Okay, so now you'll see that some of the statistics are starting to show up. A few minutes have gone by. The first thing that you'll notice is that if you go to your Grin Miner and you look at how many graphs per second you're getting, so somewhere around 3.5 is what I'm getting. You'll notice that the statistics on mwgrinpool.com, on your miner statistics here, they won't be as much at first. So don't be too alarmed. That's actually because we use like a 10-minute moving average, and you're starting off at 0. So after about 10 minutes, it should get close to where your actual graphs per second are. We might move that we might change that moving average a bit depending on what you users think. So the one last thing I'll just hint at real quick is if you open up the sidebar again and you go to payments, then you can kind of see this is the page where you can actually get paid out. We show you can get automatic payouts, manual payouts. We're adding more options here. I'm not going to go too much into it. I just figured I would show you real quick. And we will probably make another video very soon on how to get paid out here, because that, let's be honest, is the most fun part of this adventure. That's the reason why we're here. So with that said, I think that's enough for this tutorial. Let me know what you guys think. If you're able to give me some feedback either in the comments or on our Gitter channel, that'd be great. I'm going to post a link to our Gitter channel in the description for this video. Also, like I said, you can put in some comments or feedback, or we can help each other out and troubleshoot on that Gitter channel, as well as the YouTube comments. I do prefer the Gitter channel because it's more active, it's more interactive, I guess I should say. Other than that, yeah, I think that's about it. So best of luck out there mining.